talk show is brought to you by...
Hey, want to feel young again? Are you tired, run down, have aches and pains, brain fog? This is science-based, not hype or fancy marketing. It really works. Carbon 60 helps detoxify your body on the cellular level. It stabilizes free radicals, just like the antioxidants found in red wine and berry stew, but on a far smaller, more bioavailable nanoscale. It's like a bottle of electrons, helping your body to function better. You can also apply it on your skin topically, over muscles, joints, or organs. Most people feel results within minutes. This is not a drug. It's organic carbon. Feel better today. About 95% of our users report more energy and clarity of mind within 10 days. Give us a call at Greska's Carbon 60 at 720-600-6040 or visit our site at c-60.com. Call 720-600-6040 and feel young again.
Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, with your host, Hurricane H. New day, new show, but not new topic, because this topic is something we've covered, but it's an important topic. We need to cover it over and over and over. There's not enough talk about this, and we need to just bring it in really the face of our audiences around the world and give them the awareness. And my guest today is going to take us into this topic, which is the topic of suicide. And really, it is happening around us. Some of us are experiencing this directly in the family. Some people are experiencing this through their friends and so on and so forth, colleagues. But it is around the world, and it's just critical. And the more we talk about it, the more it's important, just to put the word and hopefully know where to go at the signs and all these things. Now, again, I'm not the expert in this matter, and my guest is actually a public speaker. He's an awesome statistics expert, but he really has experienced something of this nature of suicide in his life, and he is going out there. He's part of some movement, I guess, and discussions about how to prevent these things, and he's going to talk to us about all this stuff and hopefully give us some ways of helping others, maybe. So everybody's watching and listening right now, it's not only is going to help us, but also we might be able to save somebody's life or help someone not get to that end of the line, dark, I guess, hole, right? So without any further ado, I have with me Collin Hughes. Collin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Hurricane. Appreciate it. How are you?
I'm doing terrific, man. And thank you for being with me here and really bringing this topic to the audiences. I know this is a difficult topic for you. I mean, because you've experienced this firsthand, and as you'll tell the story, this will become a lot more easier for people to understand what we're talking about here. But before we go into the deep dive here, let's talk about who is Collin and how you got into this.
Ultimately. Who am I? I'm just an ordinary guy, just like everybody else. I had three dreams as a child: be a cowboy, be a pilot, be an actor. And,
the three awesome ones.
Yeah. And I rode bulls professionally for several years. I was privileged to compete against some of the greatest legends ever in the sport of professional rodeo.
Ooh.
And so,
yeah.
Have you ever heard of the movie 8 Seconds?
Yes.
Lane Frost, who died in the arena at Cheyenne. That's a true story. And Lane was a friend of mine. The last thing he ever said to me is to call me an old fart.
Okay.
that's a fun memory I have of my friend Lane.
Well, you're not that old. Yeah. But I guess he's your friend. He's entitled to say that. I mean,
this happened at Cheyenne. The last time at Cheyenne, you ride 2 times in the bull riding. There's like probably 300 and some bull riders entered. Back then, it was you ride twice. The top 15 go on to the last go round, the short go or the championship go round on the final day of the rodeo. And Lane and I had our first 2 bulls the same days that year. And after our second bull, we're in Justin's sports medicine trailer there, changing our clothes. The topic of age came up, and somebody's talking about a woman that he knew. A friend of mine actually asked this other guy says, "Well, ask him how come he hasn't called me." He says, "My nickname is Goose." Says, "Well, Goose, she's in her 30s." I'm in my 30s. Blaine just smiled and says, "Yeah, you're just an old fart."
Wait. So you're a Goose, and I guess he's
That was
Maverick.
my nickname. Yeah.
uh,
So
funny.
that was a fun memory.
Well, I mean, listen, I mean, he's
Yeah.
departed, but see, sometimes those are the things. I mean, his memory remains, and
Yeah.
you know,
Actually.
and
Yeah.
that's an important always thing. But that's a tough game. You were, I mean, rodeo, man. I mean, you're talking about bulls riding. That stuff is not for the faint of heart. I mean, that
Well,
stuff
you know
is.
what? You know why I got into it?
I don't know. I wouldn't imagine.
Chicks dig bull riders.
Okay.
No.
I,
Anyway.
to each his own, baby. but hey, whatever suits
Yeah.
you, whatever floats your boat, right?
After I climbed on my last bull, it was a year to the week that Lane died. I got on my last one, and I had to be carried out of the arena.
Oh.
Got walked on so bad, and I said, "That's it." But after that, I picked up a lot of people said, "Man, you should announce rodeos." You and I said, so I tried it, and I get to be pretty good at announcing rodeos, and that's where my
I can hear that, man. I can hear that. Yeah, do us just to for the sake of the show. Can you give us a little bit of
people love the way I introduced the bull riding. They're big, they're bad, and they're back in town. The bad boys of rodeo. They make their living by destroying bull riders, and they do it all for a bale of hay and a bag of feed.
Yeah, there you have it, folks. That was it. I mean, that's great. Thank you. I know it's not the top, but I think we're gonna talk about some sad stuff, but at the same time, we want to keep the positivity and the energy, nice. But so thank you for that. So Collin, that was but you wanted also to be in Hollywood and a pilot. I mean, those are like three. One is in the air.
I'm retired. I'm a retired airline pilot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, we didn't know that. So I guess you did. You did.
Retired airline pilot, and after accomplishing all that, is my marketing manager tells me, says that I'm building a new website. We're trying to come up with a spiel on my website, and he says, "Just do it this way." He says, "I had 3 dreams as a child: be a cowboy, be a pilot, to be an actor. I rode bulls for several years." And competed against some of the legends of the sport of rodeo. I'm a retired airline pilot.
That's 2. Now we're talking about 3.
I bought a microphone, and now I'm a voice actor.
Oh, there you go. So that's right. When you think Hollywood, you just think like the movie stuff, but you're right. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's voiceover, there's voice actors. I mean,
voice acting is not just reading a script. You
got to act it. Yeah, you got to
bring it to life.
Yeah. Just like you said with the rodeo right now, you were like, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. For example, you watch a cartoon, right? You want to feel that cartoon, and it becomes real. And your voice is what makes that cartoon really the action. Yeah. So there you go. 3 dreams delivered.
Yeah.
By the way, for our audiences there, I want to touch on this quickly because we do a lot of things in this particular platform, and one of them is to inspire and motivate. And this is an important piece. And this actually will relate to what we're going to talk about in the suicide piece.
Yes.
But definitely dreams do come true if you pursue them. And not, you demonstrated that you can't. Some people have one dream and they have difficulty going after it. You did 3 and you won. And by the way, this is not a critic. I'm just saying that if you do have a dream, you got to go after it. You have a couple of them follow through. It's not going to be easy. I'm sure this road was not, as simple as it sounds now that you look back. I've done it. I've been there, and I'm doing it. And I'm having fun. But each one of those, to get into that rodeo, as you said, that was not easy. To get into a pilot, and become good at it and become like a real, taking jets or whatever. That's not easy. It takes years of, air time, if you want to call it that way, like flight time. And of course, voiceover, you have to have the drive and you have to work on it. So all these things, are examples of what we have. So folks listening, watching, doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what your dream is, dream big. I always say, scare yourself. That's where your dream is really good, because it has to be scary enough. But even if it's not, that's okay. You just got to pursue whatever it is, small, large, whatever the level of the dreaming that you have, but make it reality.
Yeah, I have a catchphrase that kind of goes with how I feel people should live their life. Do what you love and love what you do.
You know, I don't know if I've heard that before, but I can tell you, you might want to, trademark that thing. I mean, because that's catchy enough. I think, it's probably a quote somewhere now already. but
Yeah, I've said it. I don't know how many times. So nobody can steal that phrase. That is copyrighted by the voices of Collin W. Hughes,
so there you
or
go.
it
Now
should be. Yeah,
we have a copyright voice.
it's on my website, and right at the bottom it says copyrighted.
Copyright.
So
Okay,
there
good.
you go. Yeah,
I love the disclaimer just to make sure. So, folks, hey, don't go crazy here and use it. I mean, you can use it, but always remember it is copyrighted to Colin Hughes. All right. Well, so Colin, I love it. I love it. I mean, this is getting to a good start. I love this thing. By the way, energy. I love your energy. And here's the thing: you are someone who've been devastated in a tragic event of suicide, and this is close enough. Now let's get into that dive right now. I mean, because I think that's, and we got to tie this to all the dreaming and to the quote you just made right now.
sure. Well, I've had. Let me tell you about something that happened before. You know, you hear so many times about how people say that the worst thing that a parent could go through is the loss of a child. Well, on January 29th, 2015, my oldest daughter died from cancer. And last year, June 10th, 2022, I had a 15-year-old granddaughter. She's not the daughter of my oldest daughter, but from another daughter who ended her own life. And that was far worse than the loss of my daughter. You know, I was expecting, we knew that my daughter's health was going downhill for a long time. And we knew what the outcome was going to be. Of course, we prayed for miracles, and sometimes we just don't, prayers aren't answered in the way that we want them to sometimes.
Well, that's a great way to put that. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah. But the loss of my granddaughter was it was so sudden and at her own hand. And to try to process that in my mind was just, I didn't know how. I mean, I'm a person who I'm used to going after things and doing and pushing forward. I did not know how to push forward through this. And, as I said, I love public speaking. And right after my rodeo days, I started to say that, I went into announcing rodeos and I fell in love with being behind the microphone. Most people, they get behind the microphone and they, or, they just, I'm not going to do any public speaking, but you get me behind a microphone with a stadium full of thousands of people.
Get them wild out.
Have us some fun. But for so many years, through most of my adult life now, I've always wondered, why have I been given this gift? What am I supposed to do with it? What can I do with it to what something is worthwhile? And I've tried, a couple different topics. I thought, I just didn't feel it. And I truly believe that I was saved for something. As example, as a child, I almost drowned. I was caught in a whirlpool at this lake, and I could not kick loose, and somebody at the last second reached in and grabbed and pulled me out. And I went over to the picnic area where my family was, and I told my parents about it. My mother says, "There's nothing like that in Lake Manawa." And I was just devastated. My mommy doesn't believe me. And so I went to the picnic area next to us where this guy walked back towards, and I described him and nobody knew who he was. Another time as an adult, I was starting to walk across the road, highway, without looking properly. And just as I was stepping out, somebody yelled at me to jump back, and I could feel the rush of the wind of the car just blasting by me.
Those calls.
Yeah. So, there's been a couple other things like that, but so I always thought that, I'm being saved for something, but I didn't know what. And when I got the phone call on June 10th, it was my granddaughter's stepfather who called, as my daughter's caller ID. So I answered it, just, "Hey, honey, how you doing?" And then I heard Jim's voice, and I'm like, something's wrong. I didn't know what. I thought, somebody, maybe had an accident in the hospital or whatever, but when he said that Lena had killed herself, I just started wailing and yelling and screaming. And my wife's a social worker. She was working from home. She was up front in her office that we've made for her. And at first she said she thought that I was in my sound booth, doing some voice acting on a loud character. And then she came out. I have never yelled and screamed and cried that hard ever in my life. But while I'm going through all that, within the first few seconds of finding the news, this thought popped into my head, says, this is what you've been saved for. And that's to be an advocate for suicide awareness, mental health awareness. So here I am.
I mean, that's pretty deep. And well, there's a few things there. One is, you're right. I mean, first of all, it's loss is loss, right? And especially a younger loss, meaning that when someone is, going through age and lived a healthy life and a full life of vitality and all the stuff, and they get into old age, I mean, you expect it's just the law of nature, right? I mean, we all have to go one day. But when someone at a youth, and of course that doesn't have a time frame or an age, but still, it's difficult to see someone that's young going, and your daughter that's cancer, and again, it's brutal and it's taking lives every day. But you go through that process over time because it's just that the diagnosis, you try, you said you prayed, but I love what you said about it. Prayers are answered different ways because at the end of the day, that was her time, and it is what it is. And then for the most part, people, if you have a belief system, you would know that that's the case. But most of us believe in that it's time, and but we don't want anybody to go that way, right? Or you always hope for, like, you're gonna see them grow older, grandkids, the whole nine, and that's how it is. All parents actually have that same desire, right? But it is hard, but that's again expected. And by the way, I didn't lose my kids, but I I've seen people deteriorating. My father, for example, was diagnosed with cancer, and over 7 months, we've seen him literally go down, and then ultimately, but he was not that old. I mean, he was really 73, so that's not very old for age. And but obviously, two different examples here. Your daughter is one thing, but for any parent, or person, that's blood, and whoever it is, you still feel hard, and especially when you see them going in the road of cancer. And that's one thing. But the other status here is that when someone ends their life at a younger age, and it's sudden, there's no signs, there is no nothing. Sometimes there are. I mean, and we'll talk about that. But for you, there was nothing. At least it's not something you expect that your kids will do. And then you hear that now this is your grandkid. I'm sure the parents were devastated. You were devastated. Everybody got devastated. So the impact is not them; it's everybody around them as well.
And especially the kind of person that she was is another thing that made it so hard. She was just this amazing little backstory on it. Well, maybe not a little bit big. My oldest daughter came from my youthful indiscretions when I was like, 19 or something like that. And I didn't even learn about her until she was 15. And so she was angry at the world, on again, off again relationship until the last few years of her life. We were really growing close. But then my first marriage, I had 4 daughters. And the mother of these 4 daughters was the second oldest. And I was still not a very good guy back then, following the footsteps of my my father, who, drank a lot and unfaithful, so that's the kind of guy I was then, which of course, that doesn't lay the grounds for a very strong marriage. And so that led to divorce. After the divorce, the girl's mother married somebody who's retired military, and he asked if he could adopt the girls to give them so they could have the insurance, health insurance, and whatever else comes through those benefits. And I thought, that's more I can afford to pay in child support right now. So it's best for the girls. What I didn't realize is right after I signed those papers, that's it. I had no right to see or talk to them at all. And they grew up feeling abandoned by me. And, understandably so. In 2004, I think it was, the second oldest daughter reached out to me. I was an adult then, and the first meeting went great. We were reunited, went on for a few months. Then she felt family pressure kind of in the middle. Says, why are you talking to him? Whatever it was. And so she kind of bowed out of the relationship. A few months later, I got an email from her, I'm sorry. And so I thought, well, let's try it again. And that happened a couple different times. And then I met my wife now 17 years, my sweet Jean Marie. And got a message from this daughter again. And of course, my wife, she's a social worker, and relationships are so important to her. And she says, well, you're going to contact her back, aren't you? No, I'm not going through that again. She says, but honey, the relationship, there's not going to be a relationship that won't develop. And she wouldn't let it go. And so finally I says, I'm going to do this, but just to show you that I know what I'm talking about. Well, it lasted longer this time, but it did go away. And so then in 2017, I, as a pilot based in Houston, Texas, with the airline that I flew from, and I flew for it, I live in Las Vegas. So every week I'd have to commute down, catch a ride out of Vegas airport down to Houston to go to work. And when I was home on time off, one day my wife asked me, says, what are you going to do if she contacts you again? I says, I can't go through that. There's just no way. And this time my wife told me she understood it. I'm like, oh, okay. Next morning, I'm saying my morning prayers. And I swear to you, it's just like you're hearing my voice right now. I heard these words, pray for your children. They want nothing to do with me. I don't have children. I said, pray for your children. And I was going back and forth. I was arguing with God about, no, I'm not going to do this. And finally I said, okay, I'll do it. I don't remember what I said or anything, but I did it. And my first flight on my trip I was leaving for was later in the day. So I commute out the same day instead of having to go the day before and spend the night in a hotel in Houston. So got to work. I went to Detroit for the night, overnight in Detroit, worked the flight back into Houston on day 2 of a 4-day trip. And I'm walking up the jet bridge with passengers deplaning, and my phone rings. It's a number I did not recognize. And it was my daughter. And she, at this time, was divorced from her husband. They had my granddaughter that I had not seen since she was like probably around 3, and a grandson that I had never met. She was living up in the Northeast, New Hampshire, I think it was, with my granddaughter, and the children's father was in Florida with my grandson. The father had been killed in an automobile accident. My grandson was in the car with him and was lucky to get out alive. I mean, that thing was just crushed like a can. It's hard to understand how anybody could have lived through it. But my grandson was in a coma at the hospital. They didn't know if he was going to pull out. His front was split wide open, internal organs exposed, several broken bones. And my daughters said her sisters couldn't come down. They were in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in the hospital. Her sisters couldn't come down. Her mother couldn't come down. And she said she just needed to have some support there. And I says, I'm on the next flight. I didn't try to jump seat or, do non-rev down there. I bought a seat just to make sure. And so ever since then, the relationship's been growing and growing and been a lot, been pretty good. And my grandson's doing great now, by the way. So there is some good in this. Okay. But to give you an idea of what my granddaughter was like, when I was down there in Florida, I'd take her out, to lunch or something, and, to give my daughter some time off, and just where she can just kind of, go back to the Ronald McDonald House and relax a little bit, or maybe catch a nap there in the hospital room or whatever, just to let her just not have to worry about everything. And every time that my granddaughter Lena opened her mouth, I expected to hear, Grandpa, where have you been all these years? Grandpa, why haven't you called us? Or Grandpa, this. Not once did this child say anything like that. Not once. All she did is just accept me and love me. And it's one of the few times in my life that I truly experienced complete unconditional love. And that's the kind of person that my granddaughter was. My wife and I took her to Hawaii when she was 12 years old. And she just had a blast. There's only one thing she asked for on this entire trip, and that is if we could take her to a store so she could buy her own swimsuit. And she said she had her own money. She showed us the money for it. We go to the store and we're looking around. She finds what she wants and she puts it back. I says, well, honey, why are you putting it back? Oh, it's too expensive, Grandpa. Says, well, do you have enough money to buy it? She says, yeah. And she says, but I won't be able to pay for my food while I'm here. Such mother only gave her so much money, and that had to be for food. And I says, honey, you're not paying for anything else on this trip. The only thing you're paying for will be this. Grandma and I we're paying for everything. Says, really? I said, yeah. She didn't expect anything. But when we got to the cashier, she's pulling out her money. You know what old Grandpa's doing right behind her back, don't you? I'm pulling out that credit card.
Yeah.
But she didn't expect it. When we found attraction, swim with the dolphins, and we asked her if she wanted to do that. She says, oh, Grandpa, that just costs too much money. I said, well, it's okay. Yeah, it costs a lot, but it's okay. She says, oh, Grandpa, I couldn't let you do that. That's way too much money. So I just says, okay, if it were free, would you want to do it? Well, yeah. I says, okay. No more debate. It's okay. We got it covered. And we've got this picture of her it's on my Facebook page. It's a banner now behind my profile picture of her, standing in the water right next to this dolphin, and she has this huge smile on her face. And when I posted that, on Facebook, most of the people that I'm connected with on there are, old rodeo buddies. And one of them, his name's Donnie Gay, 8-time world champion bull rider. Donnie made a comment on that picture when I first posted it. And he's never met my family ever. And he just says, I'd know that smile anywhere. And for some reason, that felt so good.
Well, Colin, listen, I'm listening to you, and it's tough. I mean, these are memories that you have, and anyone watching and listening right now, I'm sure they're feeling the same, I guess sentiments I have right now for you, and for your how you are really experiencing this as you speak about it. And I know you do this quite a bit, which is always reminding you. And in a way, it's a good thing, keeps you closer to the memory and to her. But also, it is not easy to get out. But I think the more you speak about it, it's always a good thing. But I want to, first of all, thank you for giving the background on the story. And again, for our audiences, things happen when we're young, and it is part of we all make mistakes when you're young because you don't know much. You just know the obvious. You want to have fun, and I think that's what culturally we've been conditioned to do. You want to have fun, and the fun could be in many ways, shape, and form. And then you have these things that happen, and then life keeps going. And you said it yourself again. You wanted to be that guy that are just flying around doing things and having a good time, and and you did that. So there's, I mean, you can't. At the time, that's all sounded right. And for the most part today, people are going through this at an early age. I mean, listen, I see them all the time. I was young too, and things, you do your thing, right? That's what it is. Everybody's going through some sort of level, and these things do happen. But I think the biggest part about your, I guess, story right now is that you had a disconnect with your own children for a minute.
Mm.
And you finally was able to connect, and this bond now didn't happen with your child specifically, although but it was not as strong, but it kind of almost connected with your grandchild. And that's really, your granddaughter became that link, that bridge, with that long waited for relationship and child love, right? So she became your child, really. I mean, I mean, really, think about it, right? I mean, just listening to you, it's almost like compensating for years of loss with your daughters. And yeah, she probably could not make up with her mom as much, but with her, you had hopes that this will be it. And I think that's what I'm gathering, at least from this, because I can see that bond is going to be much stronger than any concrete out there. And you just wanted her to be happy. You wanted to be part of her life, and you wanted to do more. Because again, to your point, you didn't do that, for your daughters because they were not there, and it's not because it was your fault. You signed a document that, once you get into the court system and you get those things, you pretty much kind of like, off a lot of things that you can do. Obviously, your daughters got older, so there's a little bit more of flexibility there, but it's never the same. So you change all that a little bit with your granddaughter, right?
Part of, with these 3 tragic events in my life, one thing that I've learned from them is no matter how dark things get to be, there can still something good come of it. And in the death of my oldest daughter, I got close with my oldest granddaughter, who now is a senior in college. She graduates from college next May. She is such a fun person, and she has little issues. It's me she comes running to, text, well, Grandpa, this has been going on, and what do you think? And I just and so that's just so much joy I get from her, and she is just a fun person. In the automobile accident that killed the children's father. Of course, my daughter, my granddaughter, my grandson came back into my life. And my grandson, I call him my grandbuddy.
Love it. I love it.
And he is just an amazing, amazing guy. It's, and I have that. I'm just so blessed to have him in my life, and I'm so glad for him too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Then from my granddaughter's death, of course, at the funeral, my other daughters were all there, and they all have children. The funeral home asked for people to send in pictures of my granddaughter, and they got hundreds of pictures of them. And there was a video made by the funeral director who didn't know the family. He put this video together, and about half of these pictures, it was with Lena, with my wife and I in Hawaii, Universal Studios, in our home at Christmas, and now all of a sudden, all these other grandchildren know who I am. And the internment was the following day. Funeral was on a Saturday. And one of my other grandchildren, after the services, I was just standing by where she was lying and just crying. And this cute little girl from my youngest daughter came up and says, "Do you need a hug?" Yeah. Later that day, my oldest daughter contacted me, and one of her children wanted to get to know me, she said. And she was very strict. "This is forever. You do not ghost her." And I was like, yeah, I understand it. And I know why you feel this way. And so at the internment, one thing that happened is my wife leans over to me and says, "Honey, do you realize that this is Father's Day and all 4 of your daughters are here?" And I just about collapsed while we were standing there. And but my daughter brought this other granddaughter up to me and introduced me. And the first thing she does is she looks in my eyes. She says, "Are you a good man now?" And it felt so good to be able to look her in the eye and say, "Yes, I am." She's good. Then she hugged me. We text all the time now. She's a texter. She's not a talker. She's a texter. And I just get some of the most fun things. This girl is hilarious. So it's all of these good things that come out of bad, and I know with everyone, it's not going to be something that amazing, but there's always good. No matter what happens, look for the good, because there is something there to help you go on. There truly is.
So, Collin, thank you. And again, you just reinforced that idea that, first of all, you had a second life. I mean, literally, yourself with your daughters, but now you with your grandkids. The time that you missed with your daughters, I guess, youth or childhood, you're getting it now with the grandkids.
Yeah.
And that's precious. But I love what you said about, in the darkest darkness, there is still a glimpse of light, and things can happen for the better, and it is. I mean, but that takes a different mindset. That takes strong will. I mean, you want to see the positive. I mean, you could have collapsed on this and think that the world ended, and that in the universe hates you and everything. I mean, some people go that way, right? But you didn't. You chose to believe that you were here for a reason. And then you connected that with all those events that happened when you were a kid, the car that missed you, the man that was not there and you got pulled off. And by the way, I can tell you this, and I swear to God, I relate to these stories myself, because you mentioned drowning. I had the same experience. It was not a whirlpool. I was actually a riptide. Same concept. And by the way, in lakes they do have whirlpools. I mean, whirlpools, because if the land drops down, it just creates a hole, and then that starts taking the water down, and then that's it, and you can get down very easily. So people that may not know that it happens, geologically speaking, it can happen. But the fact of the matter is, same thing. I was in the middle of the ocean, literally sucked in, and I was I was basically waiting for the end, and then someone came to me to help me and stayed with me. And the rest of the event that happened to me, I find it looks like in a movie scene that you don't get. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
you get helicopter, you get all the stuff which you. And this was overseas, where it is not very common to get a Coast Guard helicopter to snatch someone from the water, and it happened to me. And it's like you think about it, like, and you come out and you kind of wonder, like, how did you even survive? Because
Yep.
you look at that spot and you're like, no way. But you don't realize what that is at that time. And it's funny that you said that, you love to be behind the mic and stuff, and you love to do public speaking. But this is what probably that was all about. I mean, yes, you kind of paid the dues for some of the early stuff that you did, and then now you're replenishing all that good stuff, behind, and taking a new spin on life. But you also take it on the road. So your voice now is the voice for a lot of people. You're changing some of the dynamics for people. You're giving hope to people, because really this discussion, if anything, is bringing people more to like positivity and hope, and that, to your
It,
point, there is a
th-
better place. Yeah,
this
yeah.
topic is hidden so much. I don't know if it's hidden, but it's just not talked about enough.
Oh, you're right.
People shy away from it. On YouTube, they do not allow videos that have the word.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
We're
they
gonna have
don't
this one on
allow it.
YouTube, that.
They don't allow it. And there's some others that if you do hashtag suicide awareness, you know how it automatically fills in?
Yeah.
It doesn't even do that on TikTok. And so I made a video. I'm recently on TikTok, and I made this video, talking about that. And I says, that word that starts with S and ends with an I'd? Well, I'd like to talk about it. I'd like to say it. And
I gotta check it out.
It got over 7,000 views.
There you go. Well, by the way, I thank you for bringing that up. Again, that's what we are talking about. It. I mean, yeah, there's suicide prevention. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, I've had actually a couple of shows, and they're still posting YouTube. And as long we're talking positivity here, it's not. I mean, sometimes the algorithms will pick it out, and you just have to appeal and just hey, listen to the show. This is about helping people. You are a platform that produces information. So this is positive stuff, not negative. We're not encouraging people. We're actually anti that. So so let's be clear about that. We want people to live and choose life, choose the future.
Exactly.
And you know what it is? It's so interesting that many people who have gone to dark places in their life, and I've had so many shows with addiction and things like that. And the one common theme that came up, over and over and over, all these people had entertained one time in their life the possibility to end their life. And then now, looking back, they realize that this is a person that would have been missed in this world had they chosen that path, because now they're doing and making a difference.
Worldwide, on average, there's over 800,000 people that end their lives every year. In the United States, on weekly average, about 130, 135 every week. And the numbers of people who have attempted to get bigger, it's been a while since I've looked at those numbers, but the numbers are just astronomical. And one of the things, everyone who's ever thought about it, who's tried it and done it, and one of the things that they all have in common is that they feel there is no hope. Whatever situation that has them to this level, they don't feel they can get past it. And sometimes, especially in today's society, with younger people, it is, and it's not always, the kids that you think it would be, the punk rockers or whatever, and stuff like that. It's normal, everyday kid. It's the star football player. It's my granddaughter was on the track team. And she was one of the first, she was a member of the first all-girl high school wrestling squad. And that's, she was active and she was happy. But a lot of times, children they don't learn how to cope these days. They don't know how to handle. They're just so much stuff coming into their lives. It's hard to handle. There's all the hate that's going on in today's world. But one of the things I think is so important, no matter what's going on in this world, love and hope still do exist. They're out there. Sometimes you got to look for it, but they're out there.
And powerful stuff, man. Go ahead. Sorry.
One of the fallacies about talking to somebody who may have suicidal thoughts. I took a course. It's from the QPR Institute. I think it's qprinstitute.com. Question, persuade, refer. So you question somebody, you persuade them to get help, then you refer them to somebody to get help, and not just say, "Oh yeah, go to this guy." It's you take them there yourself if you need to. But one of the things that was mentioned in this course is that if somebody's having these thoughts and you ask them about those thoughts, that'll make that they'll be more apt to do it. That's false. You word it properly, they're going to open up. It's not like, a couple of teenagers, "Hey, you ever thought about doing that?" "Yeah, I have." No, that's not how you ask it. It'd be, yeah. Are you having these thoughts? Or do you ever think that you just don't want to wake up in the morning? A change in their mood, usually from upbeat and everything to where, not just a day or two of sadness, but really down all the time. Somebody who's starting to drink more than usual and drinks a lot, or illegal drugs where they're just, self-medicating. There's all types of things like that. Just don't be afraid to talk to them. You could literally save their life. Literally save their life. And that's why I do what I do, because I don't want my granddaughter's death to be in vain.
Oh, wow. So, Collin, you're talking about some powerful stuff there. And I love what you said. This discussion is happening out there, but not enough. The rates are staggering. They're crazy worldwide. It is affecting more the teenagers in crazy numbers.
And
also,
veterans.
Oh, well, yeah, Well, I mean, veterans, there's a trigger to that. The PTSD and all the stuff can actually be very brutal. But it is happening. You're right. So veterans, and I know you have some work there, that we're going to talk about. But really, the young folks right now, they have so much pressure. Why?
Mm-hmm.
It's because the system it's literally rigged in a way, because you talked about TikTok and the social media, and they just want to be like everybody else. And frankly, first of all, I love what you said. Love is here. Hope is here.
Yeah.
And there is nothing, and this is my message, that my belief and my message. There is nothing that would deserve, anybody's choosing to do that in a way, because life is beautiful. Yes,
yeah.
It's gonna throw a lot of shit at you, and that's just the way it is. It's part of as humans, you are not gonna have a peachy life. There is no such thing as you wake up and it's gonna be all nice and sweet until you actually depart. It's gonna have a lot of buns, like a lot of bumps and ups and down, and turbulence. Since you're a pilot, no pun intended, you're gonna hit a lot of that stuff, up down. But you know what? It is not worth taking your life. You are worth a lot more to yourself, to your family, and to the world, because you don't even know what your potential is. And if you're out there and you're just not sure, or you're in a dark place, know that there are people that will love you. There are people that will enjoy you. There are people that would benefit from you. And you just have to know that you count. You are important. I think that's, if we all know that we are important in this world, and we have a mission somehow in this world, and we're going to have to drive a legacy and leave a legacy behind, then we all going to live towards that. And we can preset this set of ideology in anyone that's watching and listening right now. It doesn't matter what age you are. This is you will be able to grow. I mean, look, we can talk about your story and my story. We've done things in our lives, right? But really, what we're doing today is hoping that, or not hoping, we're taking action to help people to get that potential that they have, and really, like we talked about dreams,
Right.
and
Yeah.
establishing those dreams, realizing those dreams. We can, and you will. There is nothing in this world. Listen, I wanted to do this, and I'm doing it. I am, and I'm not stopping. Whatever you do, believe me, is this different? Is this easy? Not easy at all. But I am doing it, and you can do whatever you want out there. If you have a passion, do it. Even if you don't have it yet, you will have a passion. You just have to discover it. It's there in you. We all have a programming that's in there that is positive. We just got to tap into it and really get into it. But don't think that it's the end. There is no blockage. There is nothing. And you will live, a happy life if you choose to, in the worst circumstances. You said it. I mean,
One
the stuff that
one
you went
thing
through is, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
one thing I like to say to young people, who are really struggling and going through times, there's a lot of youth, who are growing up in home that for some reason they feel they are not loved. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, but they're just not feeling it. Or that, things are so horrible at home. And what I say to them, if they're having suicidal thoughts, is if you feel that you're not loved or listened to at home, and you're having these types of thoughts, find somebody to talk to. And I'm not talking about, your buddy down the street says, yeah, man, I almost did it one time. Find somebody, go to a church, go to a synagogue, go to a mosque, go to a youth center, go anywhere where there is a responsible adult who will tell you that you are worthwhile, that life is worth living, that you can get through this. This is not the end. You may find yourself between a rock and a hard place. You don't know how to get past it, but with the right help, you can get through it. Just work on it. Be a hurricane and plow through.
Listen, Collin, thank you. That is probably one of the most engaging, powerful messages that someone can hear. And you're right. And then you give all, doesn't matter who you are, where you are, you have a way out. But I want to add one thing to that. Who says that we have to always feel loved by others? If you love yourself, it starts here. I mean, we need to love ourselves. I mean, it starts with you. Be full of love and life, and yes, because if you do that, you're not going to hurt yourself. And by the way, if you can't find love in your family, people have extra families that are extended families, people that are outside of your circles that are your families.
And if you truly love yourself, you're going to find others that love you too. That's it. It just happens. It's just the way it works.
Exactly. But remember, like, you're not confined to, like, listen, we don't choose our families. We don't choose our parents. We don't choose our, anybody. But we can choose who we actually love or get loved by. You can literally just find the right mix that is going to make your vibe, your energy. So you have options. This is all in our hands, folks. It's not like we are stuck. We're not alone. I love what you said. There's so many resources. Go ahead.
And it may not be easy, but stick-to-itiveness. That's
again, nothing is easy, right? I mean,
right.
You got to get up in the morning and dress up. And as a baby, it's not easy. As an old person, it's not easy. As any age, it's not easy. Doesn't matter what you do, it's never going to be easy. You still got to take some steps. But understand, life is worth it. You're worth it.
Yeah.
There is plenty to live for. In the worst time, look at what's positive. You looked at the worst, you had the worst scenario and you looked at the positivity out of it. And guess what? You're enjoying a lot of it. Even today, talking about your granddaughter and being emotional about her and talking about her memory lives. You are talking about, she's bringing you a life in its own, literally. And you are taking that into other people's homes right now through your work, through the podcast, through the shows, through the work that you do in the community. All of that is changing. You've probably touched many lives you don't even know right now. That actually, seriously, I'm pretty sure you did, someone has heard this story and someone has actually, maybe changed their mind they're not going to tell you like, hey, I listened to your story, but maybe they do. I don't know. I mean, sometimes you get testimonials, but at the end of the day, we do this because we want to help. We want to be part of the solution, not a problem. We want to be part of, positivity and driving positive energy in this world. Hopefully, we can do, some impact. Because there's a lot of damage that's happening to other parts of the universe.
Right.
We just want to offset that balance by giving some of this. And you got to tune into it. But know this, folks, you can not only yourself, but you can help others. If you think somebody is going to a dark place, get them out of that. You can help them. Sometimes people, to your point, like they get to the end, PTSD, like in the case of the veterans, or none. Drugs can be a problem. Addiction can be a problem. And they, stress from work, and you think the world is all over you. Listen, you lose a job, you get another one. I mean, you can't. I mean, you can create your own. Sometimes you lose a job, you become a millionaire because now finally you got the time to do the stuff that you've always loved to. Don't think that that's the end.
Yeah.
An end is the beginning of something new, but don't end your life, because again, that's a whole different world. First of all, we don't know what's beyond this world. I mean, we hope that we know what it is, and we hope that there's a better life there. But that's a different world, and we're gonna go there eventually. But let's go in due time, I would say. But at the end, I mean, you know what I mean. I'm not taking light of it, but really live happy. I mean, you're given life, right?
Yeah.
For a purpose. Maximize that purpose. That's all we're saying. Don't let the negative energy get you to that point. And by the way, sometimes people think about this. I'm going to end my life because I don't want people to be hurt by me or whatever. But you can help. You can still do the same thing by not hurting yourself. Just go and get there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of help. There's hotlines. There is community organizations. You mentioned, the faith-based organizations that have plenty of resources as well.
Oh, hotlines. Speaking of hotlines, yes. There's no longer a toll-free number, 800 number for suicide prevention. It's 988.
Yep. That's it.
It's so simple. 988. Call or text 988 if you feel you're in a crisis situation.
There you go. See, I mean, as easy as that is. And by the way, it is available everywhere. And by the way, this show is international. Here's the thing, folks. I don't care what part of the world you are. There is help everywhere. And we're in the digital world, in the cyber world, in the online world. You can reach out anywhere in the world. You don't have to look in your local facilities or communities. You can reach beyond the borders. Online, there's services that actually reach all over the world.
Yeah, the 988 number is US only right now. So
it's, No, I know, but
I know what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's resources everywhere.
Yeah, people can reach out. You can reach out everywhere to get help, or at least there are shows, there are experts, there's stuff that that's available to you. And if you know someone that you feel that maybe they're going down that path, or you even doubt that they might be, guess what? Start doing the work. Start getting them closer to agencies and groups and things like that can make a difference. The other thing is, there's no one. Some people have a bad relationships, like, oh, I can't handle myself anymore. This relationship sucks. I'm just gonna end it for me. You know what? It's not working. You can have another partner. It's as easy as that.
There's always an answer. You just have to look. You have to ask the right question to get the right answer.
But you have to also want. You have to have the will to live. But we all have that. I mean, you listen. Would you like to get hurt? I mean, if someone comes and start punching at you, you're not gonna like it, right? Well, it's like that's hurting yourself. But are you gonna go like, hey guys, can you just take a shot at me and start punching me and kicking me? Nobody's going to volunteer to do that, right? I mean, you can do that in an arena, but that's different. But that would be like something that you're passionate about. But the fact is, we don't do that, right? Well, it's the same way. Why would you hurt yourself? And then the ultimate thing this is not only impacting you, as a person, whoever's listening. And if this is a difficult time, you understand that whatever your decisions impact everybody around you. One, two, obviously you can be selfish and I don't care about anyone in my life, but just care about you. That's all we're asking. Yeah. I mean, that's number one here, always number one, right? You have to look at yourself. You're the number one. You take care of you. You feed yourself. You do the stuff. You dress nice. You want to look good. You try to be as best as you can be. Then that's it. You got to cater to this, and when you do that and you do it correctly, you're going to impact everybody else. I mean, This is looking at for number one, Collin. This is looking at for number one, Hurricane. But by looking at a number one, we're able to looking at for everybody else. And that's like you're a pilot again. Put the mask on before you can help others, right? You got to help yourself before you help the others, right? It's same concept here. Folks, it's important that you got to stay positive. You have to want to live. I mean, if you go to nature, you enjoy nature, you will change. That just pondering nature will help you change your perspective of life. Look at animals. Look at birds, look at stuff. They're alive. There's so many things that we can notice that can change the way we think about life and be more hopeful for life. It's beautiful. You look at plants growing up and getting, blooming, things like that. You'll be like happy. But don't get into that sad mode. Now, obviously there's drugs, there's other influences that can impact your rationale. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a bigger part of the discussion. There's so many things that are happening that are impacting how we function, mentally. And therefore that the reaction or the outcomes can be detrimental. But the
Mm-hmm.
first thing, if you talk about things, you might be able to be, receiving the help. But if you don't talk about it and keep it within, and by the way, I can tell you this, Colin, you talked about kids and your granddaughter specifically. My son's one of his friends recently took his life. Okay, same age group.
Yeah.
And again, you said it right on the money. This is a person who was full of life, very active, very well appreciated. At least that's the perception we had.
Right.
And when we heard it, it was like, how, it's not even possible.
Yeah.
How? But
Yep.
that's the thing. Like you cannot tell that it can happen to anyone, and don't think that it's only a certain particular group of people or a particular local field. No, it can happen to anyone. And you're right. Some of what we would call normal, happy, successful can be going through some back stuff that you don't know. It could be family issues. It could be things that they're not sharing, and they hold in that inside, and then eventually they get these nasty thoughts, negative thoughts, and then they can think that it's maybe sometimes they think it's a joke. Let me just test it out. There's no testing. We're not robots. You do something wrong to your body, it will actually take the natural course. So be careful, folks, and just speak about this. And again, help is available. Colin,
Yes.
the work you do besides speaking, I know you do other things. What are some of the things you do to help people?
Just put my best foot forward and do what I can. Just, that's,
No, but you're part of the Malinois Foundation.
yeah, the Malinois Foundation, that was a group. That's a group that they train service dogs and donate them to people who they're psychiatric service dogs. There's a big difference between an emotional support animal and a psychiatric service dog. Because you go online and you'll see all these ads, Facebook ads, to get your pet registered as an emotional support animal. You can go almost anywhere. No, you cannot.
There is a difference.
There's a huge difference. And those things online, all they are doing is taking in their money, and they are raking in the cash doing it. They're not trained. You can just take any animal, get one of these little certificates. Oh, my dog is now an emotional support dog. Yes, he will bite you, but he doesn't bite me, so I'm okay. But a psychiatric service dog, some of the statistics that go along with this on what they can do for people, it's 80% of the people who have psychiatric service dogs have a reduction in suicidal thoughts. Of all the people with psychiatric service dogs, 1/3 of them who have PTSD after having a dog for a few months no longer meet any of the criteria for being a psychiatric service, for having PTSD. And for people on meds, 93% report a reduction in the medications they take. These animals, they're trained to know the person and know what to do something for them. They're not just there to let you pet them. They do something, and they actually cater to a need. Like one person I know, he doesn't like getting close to a lot of people. So his dog, if someone's approaching him, even just to shake hands or something, his dog will walk in front of him and lay down and keep people from getting too close. Yeah. Just little things like that. Because that gentleman who's like that, he feels safer now.
So his phobia, whatever, is gone.
Yeah,
It's no more there.
the dog isn't harming anybody. It just knows he wants that his owner wants distance between him and somebody else face to face. Little things like that make a huge difference in somebody's life who's going through whatever they're going through.
Again, this is a resource for someone that can also have an animal friend that actually, or family member, I would say, that can make a difference. And by the way, sometimes if you start caring about some other entity in your life, you want to live for that particular entity. That's the other part. So you got to also develop that ability to, it's not always about you. I mean, it's always you, but you want to look up for yourself, but by looking at other people, looking after other people, you can do the same. And so now you find a purpose in why you exist, because you are here to help others and do better.
We have time to talk a little bit about veterans?
Of course.
In the United States, on average, 22 veterans end their life every day. That's a pretty big number, 22. But I was on a podcast recently where a gentleman who is former Navy said that if you add that up, that is about an entire submarine crew every week. Every week, we lose the amount of number of people of an entire submarine crew of veterans. Now, you don't see that in the news. You just don't. But now, if a submarine would have sank and we lost all the crew members, it's worldwide news. Why? Because of that multi-billion-dollar vessel that they're in. Well, just that little, how many people were in that little sub that went down at the Titanic? 5 people.
Yeah.
Big news.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. And now let's take it a step further. Let's say there's a fighter pilot that something goes wrong and he has to eject. Airplane crashes, he gets out safely. You're going to hear about it all over the news because that multi-million-dollar jet went down. Let's say that when that jet went down, maybe it took somebody out. And 6 months later, this pilot's feeling so bad about it. Says, "Oh, I shouldn't have ejected. I should have guided it toward the ocean and gone down with it or something." Whatever he's going through. And 6 months later, he takes his own life. Are you going to hear that on the news? No. But you certainly hear about when the jet crashes. It just like these things cost millions and billions of dollars in the media are worth more than one individual life.
It's just priceless.
Exactly.
See, the math doesn't add up. I mean, a human life is priceless. I believe there's no price to a human life. There's no price to
and that's
anybody.
Another reason why I'm doing this. If I can just stop, one person, one person a week, one person a day, whatever I can to get somebody thinking that, life is worth living. There is. And there's help out there. If you want help, go find somebody and talk to them. Somebody who's close to you that can guide you down the path, who can keep you strong enough to get to that place. Even if you have to check yourself into a hospital, I don't care. People call it all kinds of things, but if you need it, you need it. It's a matter of life or death. And that is so true.
Collin, I love what you said. And I want to just add one more thing that can maybe coordinate with people better. Here's the thing. We just got through the pandemic a couple of years back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we still have some remnants of it. But what was a common theme during the pandemic? Everybody was careful because nobody wants to get hurt, with this bug, right? Everybody was trying to live, through this, pandemic. And that's exactly right. So we are inclined to want to live. So let's and I guarantee you at that time you might not think, suicide because you're worried about the bug. But then you choose the suicide as the alternative. The bug could have done the job, but we don't want that, right? So understanding, guys, that we are not, literally made to think death. We're made to think love and life and live it. And so it is really in our nature. So we will do whatever to preserve. Self-preservation, self-defense is things we use, right?
Right.
And we want that to be there. You're driving, someone wants to hurt you, like go rage, and you honk the horn because you don't want to get hurt. And that's really our nature. It doesn't matter now, but we get into these moments where we probably have a lapse of judgment, a bad day, something, a trigger. And then that's when we don't talk about it. All you have to do is talk about it. All we have to do right now is really just open up to other people. You're going to talk about things. By the way, talking is not very difficult to do. We do it all the time. Now, maybe not today, because I can say that in today's modern age, I see this all the time. People are in their phones and they just basically like zombie. They're just like in the zone.
I know.
I mean, it's this is what I see today. I mean, really, that's exactly how it is. I mean,
when I was working, if I'd be walking through an airline terminal, there's always somebody walking along with their head down. If they're coming right at you, get your head up. What?
I mean, seriously. I mean, like, this is going nuts. I mean, people are crossing the street not looking. They're walking up the stairs not looking. I mean, you misstep, it's over. You just drop, from 10th floor. I don't know. But the fact is, guys, it's talking. It's good. We have lips. We have a tongue. Let's get those vocal cords, active a little bit. I mean, somebody can say, well, you guys talk on the shows all the time. Well, you know what? Guess what? I always say this. We have a very simple tool that everybody's using sometimes to bullshit. We just use it to have fun with it and hopefully drive some good information to you. But here's the thing, talk about things with your friends. If there's no friends, find somebody to talk to. Like you said, there's resources, but don't let it inside of you. Don't let stuff and know that by default, by design, you would not want to hurt yourself or someone to hurt you, right? And by the way, that's actually the best rule. We don't want no one to hurt us. So why do we have ourselves to hurt ourselves? You know what I mean? We need to be careful about that. And if we get addiction is one of them. I mean, right now we have vaping, for example, and I don't want to go from the topic, but everybody is like literally holding that little thing and they're just, and that's it. And they like, do this like, every 2 seconds. You're actually hurting yourself. I mean, that's like, a little bit of a time suicide in a way. I'm sorry to say it, but over time, you're going to hurt yourself. I mean, would you want to do that? I mean, why? Drugs, all these things are bad for you, but you know it, but you're doing it. Now, once you get caught up into it, well, there is help. Seek help. But we want you to live. We want you to be happy. We want you to do better out there because you have potential, folks. If you are watching and listening, everyone out there is somebody and can be, a great, star in their world or in the world in general. And by the way, this is not about stardom. I'm talking about you can be an effective, member of the society and do something. You have value. You need to bring that value up there. You got to find what that is, whatever it is. Whatever job you're doing, you are contributing. And if you don't like that job, find something else to contribute where you're actually happier. You did it in 3 worlds. Everybody can do that, right? I'm telling you, it's not difficult. Yes, it is hard because it takes steps and it takes a lot of time to build up, but it's worth it. And you will not realize what you have until you get to that moment. But if you cut it short, you will never have the chance to actually fill out like what is your full potential. And again, I've had this discussion over and over where if I had done that, I wouldn't be the person today. I know, I am doing great today. And so that person today, is really the same person then. But had they closed that life cycle, then they wouldn't be here to help and do the work that they do, and they're solving the world's problems sometimes, right? So with the veterans, Collin, what are some of the things that you have out there for them, like that you've talked to or you're part of? Any?
Well, I'm working on public presentations to go out and talk in schools, wherever I can get inside of. Just to just basically spread the same message that I'm working on right here. That there is hope in the world. That's the biggest thing, really. We of all the wars and the riots and everything else these last few years, it's hard. It's hard for a lot of people to get above the negativity of the world, but they just hopefully need a nudge in the right direction. And I'm just hoping to nudge people on it just enough.
I think you're doing a great job, Collin.
Just enough.
You're doing it, man. And you're slowly but surely. I mean, again, 1% at a day, 1% at a time, and you touch in one life, and that it's a ripple effect. Slowly but surely that goes on. Again, this show is going to air and people are going to be like, slowly but surely catching on to it and maybe sharing. And there's plenty that you've been to and you're going to do more. And that's really how it is. But you started, and that's all that matters. Now you're building and you are making an impact. And that's, by the way, everybody can do exactly the same. We can all have an impact in life, good or bad. Let's choose the good and stay away from the bad. Negativity does not yield anything. Believe
No.
me, positivity is really what we need. And there's plenty of that we can deliver. We all have it. It's your resource. Just tap into that energy and you can. And don't let negativity. And again, if you're not sure how, find someone to guide you. Get a mentor, get into a mentorship program if you're young enough. And by the way, if your parents are not there, because some people their life sucks because their parents are not happy, there's this and the other. Those are circumstances you don't choose, but you can actually, get around them. There's always find some activity. There's youth programs out there that actually really geared to get people, a father figure or mother figure, whatever they are, to get you in that concept. There are so many things available to you. Just do it. And by the way, instead of even on mentioned TikTok and social media, there is some great stuff out there. I mean, there's a lot of fluff, but there's some real good nuggets in the social media. You just got to look for it. I mean, literally,
and you just reminded me of a good friend of mine, Charlie Sampson. He grew up in Watts, California. Ever heard of it?
Oh.
It's one of the big, toughest inner city areas in LA that there is.
Hampton's looking like.
Yeah, really, Watts is a tough area. And he had a large family. I don't know how many siblings he had, but he had quite a big family growing up. So he was living in an area, where people didn't get out of a lot. But he knew he wanted something more in life, even as a child growing up in this area. And he found a place. It was a horse ranch not too far outside of where he lived, and he got around Western folks, and he learned how to ride bulls. And he became the first African American to win a world's championship in professional rodeo ever. And he is just this beacon of positivity in life. Charlie Sampson. He's tell you the kind of guy he is. I wasn't one of the big names in rodeo, but I competed against him. And I know them, they know me. But Charlie, when he comes to town, I get a phone call. Hey, Collin, let's go eat.
But Collin,
that's the kind of guy he is,
Thank you for sharing this example. And by the way, everyone is talented.
Yeah.
Everybody, I don't care where you are, who you are, what's your background, your story, you have talent. You just gotta it's like there's a lot of minerals all over us on this ground. I mean, there's a lot of resources, right? We have riches, right under our feet. Well, you have all that in you. And you just gotta discover whatever you want to sing, you want to act, you want to be in sports, you want to be doing whatever it is you can. You want to be creative. You have what it takes. You just got to know that you have. And if you know, literally, and aware that you have what it takes to be, the next biggest thing in this world, you can and you will. And that's all it is. And by the way, don't worry about the competition. Don't worry about the others. Like, what is it?
No.
How am I going to make it? And there's a million people. There's plenty of these people. I don't care. I'm in this world of podcasts. There's millions of us. And you know what? They have their own flavor. I have my own. You have your own. Everybody's got their own. We all have a signature, and that's good, and there's more of us. That's even better. There's nothing. I mean, really, think about it, right? So
yeah.
The fact of the matter is, don't worry about all the thoughts that those are inhibitors that make you think that you're not worthy, you can't do it because. Stop the excuses. Stop thinking about
I've been there, done that.
But
y'all have, I think.
But it didn't work for you because things work out for you eventually, right? Oh man. All right. Well, so Collin, I listen, we covered a lot of grounds, and again, bottom line is, as you said, there is hope. It's worth living.
Yep.
So what will be maybe a rephrase of this, or maybe a different message that you want to close today's show with, and
Okay.
really get our people pumped?
First off, if you're in crisis mode, and you feel you can't talk to anybody, call or text 988 24/7. Somebody is there to help you. And if you feel that you can't get what you need at home as far as guidance, as I said, love and hope exist. Find it somewhere, like a church, a synagogue, a mosque, a youth center, whatever, somewhere where you're going to find somebody positive to share with you that you are loved. And then if you feel like you're still not loved, listen to my voice. I love you. Life is worth it. Don't give up.
I'm not saying anything behind that one. I was going to say something, but no. I think that's sufficient enough. It's powerful, man. Thank you. And yes, you have a terrific voice for this game, man. You're definitely you live up to the voiceover acting business and the voiceover that is, and your voice really delivers. And I know it's not just acting; it's real. It's truly emotional. By the way, acting is one thing, but being really true to yourself comes right off. People can read through the difference. And thank you for that powerful. I mean, it's really just a blast of energy that is positive. And yes, thank you, Collin. It's been a real fun with you on the show today.
I've enjoyed it.
We've exceeded the hour, but who cares, right? I mean, time for Lou, right? Hey, I mean, I keep making those jokes about the flight. I mean, yeah, pilot after all. So. All right. Well, listen, folks, I hope that you really had a good time with us and really, picked up some stuff here. Just listen, if this is not for you, maybe it's for someone, share the value, share the message. And, listen, if you think someone can use the help, you know what to do. I think Collin shared quite a bit with us, and there's plenty out there beyond us. So just do the right thing and help people to live and have hope in their life and be successful. So that being said, I'm your host, Hurricane H, and we'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new topic, new guest. Bye for now.
There's a lot of talk all over the internet these days about the remarkable benefits of Carbon-60, and baby boomers are especially excited about it. Whatever generation you're in, if you want more energy, better health, and a boost in vitality, we invite you to try Greska's Carbon-60, a stunning development in free radical destruction. Being much smaller in size than conventional antioxidants derived from fruits and vegetables, it is far more bioavailable to quickly mend the toxin-crippled cells in your body. Greska's Carbon-60 is the only C60 product that is made without the use of undesirable solvents. The only one. Greska's Carbon-60 was developed by a brilliant NASA carbon scientist, and 95% report positive results from this Nobel Prize-winning technology in just 4 days. Visit c-60.com. That's c-60.com or call 720-600-6040.